because of the reactions and other stuff you was kind
Yeah.
of saying. But is it because I've seen in the comment section, I'm also in a few discords where people are like, yeah, man, like I don't really fuck with Young Don no more. Does that ever like get to you? You try to like adjust, or you just feel like that just kind of comes with it?
Nah, because that's what happens when you start saying controversial stuff. You know, that's what happens when you start sharing your opinions. See, anything that matters is controversial. Anything that matters to people, no matter what your opinion on it, someone is going to feel strongly in the opposite direction.
For sure.
And that's what makes something controversial. You feel me? And so when you start doing that, people who, you know, because for like, you know, you can pretty much say I played it safe on my animation channel. You know, like I wasn't giving my opinion on things. I was saying this happened. This was funny. This is what I learned from it. You know, it's easy to like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and you know, it's, but then you start talking about abortion, you know, you start talking about God, you start talking about, you know, gender roles, gender, right? Yeah, man. And all that craziness. And then people are like, well, hey, wait a minute. I liked you before. You and you wasn't talking like this. It's the reason why celebrities don't give their opinions. Yeah. You know?
They really don't.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Not at all.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
And you know, so because there's some risk associated with being like less relatable. We were talking about it on a playback video, probably going to drop. It probably dropped by the time this drops, but about Steve Harvey, where like everything he has to say is relatable.
Yeah.
But him as a person is so not relatable.
Right.
But he has to present himself like he is because otherwise his audience is just going to be like, oh, he doesn't understand this at all. So he'll say or do things or tell stories or have segments that like pitch him in a way where he's a lot more presentable.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to monetize. But in all reality, like every person's going to have like different opinions.
Yeah.
And if you're the type of person to only like people who have the same opinions as you, then you're okay probably watching an animation channel where you could talk about how like you got curved or ghosted or you bagged this one girl, but then when they hear your opinions on like anything else they might disagree with, they're like, oh my God, hold on. Like this is the same guy.
Yeah, right. And you know, and so I just knew that was gonna come with the territory, but you know, there are pros and cons to everything. And the pro is that the people who rock with you really rock with you.
For sure.
I never had that with animation channel. You know, I was just like, you know, reliable, interesting content if you like my content. You know what I'm saying? Like they were like, oh, I know what I'm gonna get. Cartoons, I'm gonna probably laugh a couple times, you know. You know, he knows how to hold momentum telling a story. Cool. But they didn't really know me. You know, they knew, like, I guess they felt like they know me because they knew some of my stories. But you aren't just what has happened to you. You are the opinions you formed, your worldview that you formed as a result of the things that have happened to you. And that part was the part they weren't really getting. And so when I started sharing that, you know, people who, you know, like me because they didn't know me, now they're starting to get to know me and they're like, I don't like you. And that's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's okay because
is it though?
Yeah.
But isn't it contradicting of everything that is being pushed to have people believe? Because if the whole concept is that everybody's supposed to be open to who everybody is, even if it is going against like facts or science or whatever. Why is it like you don't ever feel like your beliefs are being isolated from what everybody else is being told to just accept?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with people like not everyone isn't going to agree on everything.
For sure.
And a lot of people's identities are wrapped up in some of their beliefs.
For sure.
And so when you say, you know, let's say one of your identities is being like one of these like LGBT or trans like advocates, like allies, right? Even if you're not, you don't consider yourself a part of that community. You have a rainbow flag in your bio. You're proud of the fact that you're best friends with a gay dude. You know, you help nurse him through his monkeypox outbreak. You know what I'm saying? Like, was I not supposed to say that?
No, go ahead. You
know what I'm saying? Like,
that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you really identify with that. And then I come along and be like, oh, homosexuality is an abomination. And It's a sin. It's a sin like adultery and, having sex out of wedlock. God hates all sin. He says, if you've broken the least of my laws, it's as if you've broken all of them. But it is a sin. It is wrong. And we see that AIDS, HIV, what's going on now. These aren't random like occurrences. This is judgment from God. He judges, he punishes people in different ways. The Bible talks about this. Everything from natural disasters to plagues to even just abandonment, which is what we currently are going through here in America. We've been abandoned by God. The signs of that are actually well documented. First, there's a sexual revolution, check. Then there's a homosexual revolution, first with the women, then the men, check. And then there's what is called a what is it called? It's basically insanity. It's basically mass insanity, right? Men thinking they're women, women thinking they're men. What is it? Is it called the abhorrent mind? What is it called?
What's wrong with you, nigga?
And so it's like, it's just like hysteria. I just was listening to a story the other day of a little boy, 10-year-old boy who is now the youngest trans runway model, right? And they dress him up like a girl, and now he has adult.
He's trans, as in he's had the procedures, or he's trans,
I don't identify.
No. So like he's had everything but the procedure, I believe. Okay. He's been trans since he was 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. And so
how did he know that? He knew that?
His parents just knew. His parents knew, like, because he's been it's 6 years. He's only 10 years old, and so since he was 4 years old, they have been raising this boy like a girl. And so, this 10-year-old. And this is in the article. They're talking about this, like, oh wow, isn't this inspiring? It's getting DMs. It's getting DMs from like adults, like grown men and women asking for advice.
From the 10-year-old?
From a 10-year-old. So this is what I mean, like insanity, right? So it's not just people thinking they can switch sexes, but it's even things like that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but the point I'm making is that why is it acceptable? Why is
a 10-year-old that get on a quick Zoom call?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But why is it the one thing I always don't understand is I think yo nigga,
it's called the reprobate mind, by the way. Remember I was saying the phases of God's abandoning a nation. It's called that insanity. It's called a reprobate mind. Yeah. All right, I just remembered. But yeah.
Why is it you don't think that it's a bit inconsistent you probably do, but you don't think that it's a bit inconsistent and unfair that we are supposed to just accept that concept that you just like explained with transgender and stuff like that. But as soon as you say your beliefs based off of biblical text, people are like shunning that.
It's not unfair. It's exactly the way the world is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Because this realm is ran by Lucifer. It's ran by Satan. Mm-hmm. And so Jesus says in the Bible, if you love me, the world will hate you. If you love the world, you hate God. It's really one of the two. You can only either serve the devil, you can only either serve Satan, or you can serve God. That's really your only two options. And when you look at, anything, the word evil literally just means in opposition to the wisdom of God, to the laws of God, the instruction of God. So you can just pretty much look at everything God tells you to do and all the way that God instructs us to live, figure out what the opposite is of that, and you will know exactly what the world wants to embrace.
Okay.
And so, this whole trans, LGBT stuff, this is the opposite of what God asks of us to behave. And so that's how we know it's going to be uplifted. But the Christianity it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing in the eyes of the world because it is the religion of obeying and glorifying God. And so that's why everything else is protected or embraced, right? And so